In the headlines tonight, defense urges international community to see the reality on the ground in Ethiopia. Diplomats laud government's continued desire for peaceful solution to end the conflict. Good evening to you all. Very warm welcome to ETV News. I'm Grum Tariku. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is in Algiers paying working visit with a tour to the National Liberation Museum, where he laid wreath at the Martyrs Monument in honor of the martyrs of Algeria's War of Independence. The Prime Minister toured the Liberation Museum, detailing Algeria's history and its liberation struggle. The Martyrs Memorial in Algiers, Algeria, was officially inaugurated and opened to visitors in 1982 when Algeria celebrated its 20th anniversary of independence. The Martyrs Memorial, which includes a 302 feet tall statue and a museum that displays the sacrifices Algerians paid for their independence. Although Ethiopia and Algeria have a long-standing and historical relations, it is said that they did not engage in activities as expected to cement their ties in economic sphere. In recent times, the relationship between Ethiopia and Algeria has become stronger, and this is marked by the ongoing visit of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed to the country. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, along with his delegation, has visited Cyril Pharmaceutical Factory in the capital, Algiers. The factory, which has been established 40 years ago, is producing 200 types of medicines and is also mentioned as the largest in its kind in Africa. The leaders of the factory told Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed that the company is working to connect Africa through medicine supply, announcing a plan to export products to Ethiopia. In a related development, Algerian Foreign Minister reiterated that his nation is ready to elevate ties with Ethiopia in the pharmaceutical and energy industries. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed today conferred with Abdul Majid Tebboune, President of the Republic of Algeria, at the Presidential Palace in Algiers. The two leaders discussed ways of enhancing relations between Ethiopia and Algeria. Johannes van Town has more on this.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, accompanied by a top ministerial delegation, has been in Algeria for an official visit. During his meeting with the Algerian President, discussions centered on ways of bolstering the bilateral relationship between the two countries were held. Approached by ETV, Algerian Foreign Minister Ramtane Lamamra reiterated Algeria's commitment to scale up relations with Ethiopia.
Welcome to His Excellency the Prime Minister. Indeed, we are honored to receive him, as we were recently honored on the 5th of July to receive Her Excellency the President of the Republic of Ethiopia. So these two visits are clear demonstrations of the closeness of Algeria and Ethiopia, as well as the strong ties that we have been building over the years between the two countries. And more importantly, these are clear signals about the prospect for closer relationship and also productive cooperation and partnership in all areas of business.
The minister further stated that the cooperation and bilateral relations of the two countries should be strengthened, as there are various issues where Ethiopia and Algeria have the same position.
Both countries are deeply committed to the African Union agenda for African solutions to Africa's problems. Both countries are committed to industrialization as key to development, and therefore both countries and both leaderships, with the spirit of NEPAD, the new Partnership for the Development of Africa, will focus on finding areas in which they can complement each other and supplement each other's productive activities which are already in place.
The minister stated that Ethiopia is a sovereign country that has full rights to use its natural resources and emphasized the need to work together for common development.
There is a principle of sovereign equality of countries, the sovereign right of people over their natural resources. There are obviously also considerations that have to do with good neighborly relations between African countries, avoiding conflicts and disputes by all means, and striving to resolve problems by peaceful means. So Algeria will always be encouraging peaceful resolution of easing tensions peacefully and finding ways to fulfill the potential of good neighborly relations between all African countries.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs pointed out that Ethiopia and Algeria should elevate ties, especially in the pharmaceutical and energy industries, adding that the minister said it is better to reconnect the two countries with air transport.
The Ministry of Defense stated that Ethiopian National Defense Forces ENDF is repelling the attack from the terrorist TPLF and maneuvering its mission, having studied the formation of the terrorist group from the previous war. In its statement, the ministry recalled that the Ethiopian army is an army of victory which braves difficult terrain and weather conditions and triumphantly fulfills its duty, and it is a force that can safely repel the enemy. The statement added that ENDF and other joint security forces are national prides who have sacrificed their lives for the country and the people. The ministry's statement further added that due to its barbaric nature, the terrorist group conscripted children and women in front line and fought with an outdated strategy of human wave because they know the invisibility and bravery of the Ethiopian army. Therefore, the ENDF has recognized the formation of the enemy from the previous war and is responding and destroying the terrorist TPLF accordingly, indicating that the army is carrying out its duty with great care and responsibility, where the enemy has shown that it does not care about citizens, the ministry said. In a related development, the National Defense Forces urged the international community to see the reality on the ground rather than buying barefaced lies spread by the TPLF. While briefing foreign diplomats on current affairs, the ENDF disclosed that the terrorist TPLF is heavily relying on human wave war tactic, including the deployment of children at the war front. Goshumel has the details.
The Ethiopian government has time and again tried to end the conflict via peace talk without any preconditions. However, the terrorist TPLF opened the third round of war in bordering area of Amhara and Afar regional status. The terrorist TPLF and its paid media are confusing the international community as if the government launched the attack. The Ethiopian National Defense Forces briefed Addis Ababa-based diplomats and military attaches on current issues regarding renewed TPLF aggression. International Relations and Military Director with Defense Forces Major General Teshome Gamachu said the international community needs to see through the lies spread by the TPLF.
Unilateral ceasefire and peaceful negotiation mean it is all about trying to climb by one hand and cannot do anything by itself. The Ethiopian government urged the diplomatic community to see the truth on the ground and judge on its own. The government opened its door to negotiate with TPLF because nothing will be gained from war, and it is socially as well as economically destructive.
Major General Gamachu made it clear that if the TPLF continues to defy the peace talks and attack citizens, the National Defense Force has legal responsibility to respond to the offensive.
Ethiopian Defense Force, as one of the key instruments of national power, which is responsible for securing survival interest of the nation, would like to urge you to understand this issue and make your own judgment to avoid misunderstanding following the TPLF false propaganda. Otherwise, the Ministry of Defense has responsibility to mandate to take any legal measure and defend its citizenship from any harm.
A diplomatic member said Ethiopia should not ask any permission from the world to defend its people and constitution.
No any permission will be asked by the Ethiopian government to defend the constitution and the citizens of Ethiopia.
The Ethiopian National Defense Force also disclosed that the terrorist TPLF is heavily relying on the human wave war tactic, including the deployment of children.
Once the attack was attempted on the Ethiopian troops, TPLF was using human wave, including children, which totally violate international law. The attack that was being started in violation of the ceasefire will also jeopardize the humanitarian aid distribution of the aid in the region in different places where the people were suffering over there.
The National Defense Force is in a better position to ward off any attack, it was disclosed.
A Danish journalist said the World Health Organization WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom has been using his position very shrewdly to support the ethno-nationalist TPLF group. Talking to the Ethiopian news agency, the journalist Rasmus Somadrlis underlined that there is no case regarding the blockade narrative in Tigray, as the World Food Programme has been appreciating the humanitarian activities in the region. Trisarnis has the following report. Take a look.
It is to be recalled that the government of Ethiopia protested in a letter submitted to the WHO's executive board last January that in a manner that denigrates the integrity of the UN system and the work of other offices. Tedros uses his platform to mobilize the UN community against Ethiopia besides providing technical and financial support to the activities of the TPLF. The Director General, who has been fabricating accusations against Ethiopia, claimed recently that a siege was put in place to prevent aid from reaching Tigray, where the terrorist TPLF forces are planning attack against the Amhara and Afar states. The Danish journalist Rasmus Somadrlis told the Ethiopian news agency that there is no case to make regarding the blockade narrative in Tigray, as the World Food Programme WFP has been appreciating the humanitarian activities in the region.
There's a wrong narrative from Ethiopia about the siege. Of course, you can't let materials into Tigray that can be used to kill the Ethiopians afterwards. But humanitarian blockade, no, I don't think there is one. I think the evidence is quite clear. The World Food Programme has said they have averted famine. In food program saying we have averted famine, we have ended so many trucks. Not all the trucks have come back, but all those trucks have gone in. So yeah, I think there's definitely no case to make anymore that there's a humanitarian blockade on Tigray. Definitely not.
However, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom has been shrewdly using his position to accuse the government and to support TPLF. Adhanom always talks about the humanitarian issues in Tigray, but excludes the Afar and Amhara states now invaded by the terrorist TPLF. The journalist expressed that the WHO director also pretends to be a saint, while the fact is that he is one of the warlords and member of a circle that recruits children for war.
You've got to take your hat off to him. He's very shrewd. He's played a lousy hand very well, because he always talks about the humanitarian issue in Tigray. Nowhere else, right? Nothing about Afar, nothing about Amhara, and he never talks about politics, because he knows if the spotlight falls on his record as a stalwart of a dictatorship, he doesn't have a chance. And he uses that to surround himself with the great and good, and everybody assumes he's one of them. But he's not. He's a warlord. He's member of the inner circle of a group that's recruiting children for war. If it were up to me, they would freeze their assets and provide moral and material support to the Ethiopian government. Yeah, some of the TPLF leaders should be searched by Interpol. That's my opinion. I know it's probably not going to happen soon, but that's what I think should do. If the West had some discernment, they would do that.
The measures being taken by the government of Ethiopia to contain the situation is the wisest decision, he stated. The TPLF group has no legitimacy, Somadrlis said, stressing the need for the West to provide moral and material support for the government of Ethiopia and take measures against TPLF leaders, including freezing of their assets.
Welcome back. When all eyes are fixed on the peace talks with the TPLF, the terrorist group in charge of Tigray resumed hostilities for yet another round, pulling the rug from under the feet of everyone involved. A veteran politician and currently leader of Ethiopia's biggest multi-ethnic opposition party, Birhanu Nega, told ETV that born and raised in violence, the TPLF is the antithesis of any meaningful give and take. Habtam Washag reports.
Resumption of the war in the Raya front came less than 48 hours after the TPLF published an article entitled Ethiopia, the African Union cannot deliver peace to Tigray. It appears that the purpose of the article was to herald the inevitability of war. The shameless TPLF made claims that the African Union is close to Ethiopian authorities and cannot be a neutral actor. It went further, even accusing the African Union of supporting its fictitious Tigray genocide. A seasoned politician who has had his share of suffering under the TPLF, leader of Izema, Birhanu Nega, said the TPLF has never accepted any peace talks throughout its history. Nega pointed out that the TPLF is always calculating the benefits of engaging in violence.
They have started the war hoping to achieve what they consider is their objective. In this process, thousands and thousands of people have been killed, maimed. And you hope that the TPLF have learned the futility of war with Ethiopia, especially with the aim of dismembering it. They have been working to create fissure within the Ethiopian body politics on the basis of ethnicity, religion, and what have you. And they thought that Ethiopians would fall apart when push comes to shove because they don't trust each other, they don't consider themselves as part of this mosaic that we call Ethiopia. And I think they learned, in my view, hopefully, they learned the hard lesson that when it comes to their country's unity, Ethiopians can come together irrespective of the differences that they have. I think that's what they have showed. They are Ethiopians. There might be issues that need settlement politically, then they have to drop their weapons and engage in the political process. Now, do I think that they would do so? I don't. I have to be honest. I don't believe that they are ready to do that because I don't believe the TPLF can live in Ethiopia without being at the head of this polity. And there is no possibility that Ethiopians would accept that kind of arrangement. Therefore, I cannot see how that would work. If there is any possibility, fine. But I cannot see it.
According to Nega, the TPLF tirelessly working to dismember the nation not only by launching war but also by financing anti-peace as well as radical elements across the nation. They have been well experienced to create any ethnic, religious as well as other conflicts over the past many years in Ethiopia, the professor underlined.
The route is not to dismember this country or to aim at dismembering this country, not only by directly waging war, but also by financing and arming all kinds of irregular forces in this country whose main objective is to foster ethnic conflict in this country or religious conflict. I mean, they have been doing this for the last, even since the end of this round of conflict, whether it is Shene or other forces that are, running around with guns supplied by the TPLF and other forces that want to dismember this country. It is clear, I hope it is clear to the TPLF that that is not possible.
Birhanu called upon the government to prepare itself to take proper military measures against the TPLF cliques, which is now the enemy of the nation.
The Ethiopian government has to prepare that this is a very belligerent force. This is a force that does not understand what to mean as an equal is with other ethnic groups in this country. This is a force that does not understand what democracy is and what it means to be a citizen of a country. If they are willing to learn to live as an equal, with the rest of Ethiopians if they are willing to learn in a genuine, honest democratic dispensation, if they are willing to learn to live without stealing public property, using government power, even at the local level, then I don't think there is any Ethiopian who wants to go into war. But it should also be very clear, absolutely clear, that any attempt at a significant conflict by the TPLF, the Ethiopian government must ensure that this is the last time that we are going to fight this war. And it has to make sure that we have the preparation, the wherewithal to make sure that this is the last war and a new political dispensation within Tigray emerges where sane, reasonable Tigrayan patriots will come up with a new politics that is different from the TPLFs that the TPLF have pursued for the last 50 years.
Professor, to make this exclusive interview, my name is Abtamu.
Global Alliance for the Rights of Ethiopians, GARE, announced that it has continued supporting citizens and rehabilitating hospitals that have been damaged by the terrorist TPLF invasion. The organization signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ethiopian Public Health Association to deliver different medical equipment to Nifas Moucha Hospital that has been looted and vandalized by the terrorist TPLF. Speaking at the signing ceremony, the organization's CEO, Batru Gabra Egziaber, said that over the past 2 years, his organization has been playing a great role in rehabilitating the displaced people following the northern Ethiopia conflict outbreak. He stressed that the organization has been providing citizens in need with support amounting to 250 to 300 million birr in different forms through participating in activities organized by the Ethiopian diaspora living in different parts of the world since its inception in 2013. The Ethiopian Public Health Association Director General Dr. Alemayo Makonnen on his part said that his association has been achieving a lot of result through working collaboration with GARE to replace medical equipment that have been ravaged by the terrorist group. As the TPLF-driven war of aggression still haunts the nation, Addis Ababa-based resident ambassadors called upon the TPLF to strive hard for an everlasting peace across Ethiopia. In an exclusive interview with ABC English, the ambassadors also appreciated the peace efforts initiated by the Ethiopian government as a very much encouraging. Kasaun Chani has sat down with the ambassadors and compiled the following report.
The government of Ethiopia has reiterated its readiness to the peace talks anytime and anywhere without preconditions. Though the TPLF has already disrupted the process by resuming hostilities. On 18 August 2022, the TPLF declared the humanitarian truce to be dead. It came up with all sorts of lies and fabrications to destroy relative peace that has prevailed in the past few months as a result of the humanitarian truce declared by the government. When the government is exploring all options to consolidate the humanitarian truce, the TPLF has been actively working for the demise of the truce. It is clearly rejecting a bold peace overtures of the government. To the contrary, various diplomats residing in Addis Ababa said in an exclusive interview with BBC English that the peace efforts initiated by the Ethiopian government are encouraging. They stated that peace is an important issue for the sustainable development, adding that the steps taken by the Ethiopian government is wonderful.
There should be peace in Ethiopia. I have just described how we have enjoyed a productive relationship with all Ethiopians in your development path. Development is very difficult to achieve while there is conflict. And there are a number of conflicts in this country. Since the very beginning of the conflict in the north, from the 4th of November 2020, we have called on all parties to stop fighting, protect civilians, and to negotiate.
Well, under our constitution, actually Article 4 of the Brazilian constitution, Article 4 of our constitution gives us the basic guidelines for our foreign policy, and basically we are always following a non-intervention policy. Let's say we are always in favor of negotiated solutions. Thus, we are in favor of any sort of initiatives that will lead to a positive outcome to have a long-lasting peace reigning here in Ethiopia.
Ethiopia has been resilient in the face of man-made and natural challenges, and the country will emerge united and strong, overcoming the challenges to support the region and the continent. The ambassadors pointed out that their country's experience of conflict resolution and ways of undertaking efforts to bring peace ought to be a lesson as there is no gain from war.
Japan is one of the strongest peace-loving nations in the current constitution, and it is always important to settle the conflict through peaceful negotiations and peaceful means. In that sense, we are strongly supporting the efforts for the peaceful dialogue and peaceful resolution. And the longer it takes to start the negotiation, the more people would suffer. So the modalities could be discussed among the Ethiopian parties, but we hope that peaceful settlement will come to end soon.
The government has been urging the international community to denounce the TPLF's blatant belligerence as a result of disastrous effects to have on the region's peace and security.
Ambassador Tracy Jacobson chaired the affairs of the U.S. government to Ethiopia, and USAID Mission Director Sean Jones paid a visit to Dredar and Harar. Jacobson and Jones met senior government officials and visited government-funded projects last week. Jacobson discussed with Dredar Mayor Kadir Juar to strengthen people-to-people relations and deepening economic and cultural ties. She further discussed efforts to promote peace and stability in the region. The ambassador and Jones also met with Ordin Badri, president of Harare State, and discussed ways the United States and the local community can partner to advance peace and build stronger ties. Both reiterated the need for a durable solution to end hostilities in northern Ethiopia, sustained humanitarian assistance for all Ethiopians in need, and accountability for human rights abuses. She also reiterated calls for armed actors throughout the country to end violence, abuses, and hostilities to enable space for peaceful resolution. During the visit to Dredar, Ambassador Jacobson participated in the launch of the United States President's Malaria Initiative PMI mosquito control campaign to combat the Anopheles stephanisi mosquito, an invasive, largely insecticide-resistant malaria-carrying mosquito, which was identified in Ethiopia in 2016. She stressed the U.S. government's commitment to support Ethiopia on the road to malaria elimination. Towards this end, the United States has provided over $500 million in anti-malaria efforts since 2008. And finally, Angola bids solemn farewell to ex-strongman Jose Eduardo dos Santos. Dignitaries from South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, the Democratic Republic of Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi, and Portugal's President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa filled rose and white and gold seats. Shagai Mata has more on that.
Angola's former strongman President José Eduardo dos Santos, whose nearly 4-decade rule of the oil-rich nation was marred by allegations of plunder and nepotism, was laid to rest amid a family row. The funeral, which was disputed by some of his children, was held at the historic palm tree-lined Praça da República in the seaside capital Luanda on what would have been dos Santos' 80th birthday. It comes days after his party, the People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola, which has ruled the country for nearly half a century, saw its worst results at the polls in the most hotly contested elections since independence.
It's indeed very painful to say goodbye to a head of state who led the nation for 37.5 years, almost 38. He courageously took on the role of head of state at a good time for the country. But in the end, he managed to win the war and unite all Angolans.
Under dos Santos, Angola became one of Africa's top oil producers. While he and his family reaped vast wealth from Angola's resources, most of the country's 33 million people remain among the poorest in the world. He stepped down in 2017, appointing João Lourenço as his successor, who now stands to gain a second term in office. Dos Santos passed a series of laws before his departure from government, granting himself broad judicial immunity.
Defense urges international community to see the reality on the ground in Ethiopia. Diplomats laud government's continued desire for peaceful solution to end the conflict. Well, you have been watching ETV News. Thanks for your company and have a great time.